The lockdown had started suddenly, with barely a warning. Jaden had been on his couch when the news flashed on the screen. All residents are instructed to stay indoors. No exceptions. He had barely had time to process what that meant before his apartment doors clicked locked automatically, sealing everyone inside. Normally, Jaden's life was quiet, sometimes boring. But ever since ZYK had appeared at his door, a tiny alien no bigger than a cat, things had been anything but normal. ZYK was small, with luminous skin that shifted colors, glowing antennae, and eyes that seemed far too intelligent for his tiny body. He had appeared out of nowhere a few weeks ago, claiming to have lost his way on a distant mission. Jaden, though wary at first, had grown fond of the creature. Until tonight, ZYK was restless. Very restless. The alien hopped across the floor, small claws scratching against the wood. Normally, these sounds were cute, but tonight they felt urgent. ZYK's skin shimmered in odd patterns, cycling between deep blues and vibrant purples. His antennae twitched faster than usual, and every so often, he let out a low, whistling sound that sent a shiver down Jaden's spine. Jaden froze. He had read about alien biology online, but experiencing it firsthand was entirely different. Heat cycles, he muttered under his breath. ZYK was in heat. He tried to take a step back, but the lockdown doors had locked automatically. They were trapped together. Every corner of the apartment suddenly felt much smaller, claustrophobic even. ZYK's glowing eyes locked onto him, and he took a small hop closer. Jaden's heart raced. He had to think fast, but the alien pheromones hit him immediately, head spinning, light-headed, heartbeat thumping. It was strange, overwhelming, and completely foreign. Okay, I can do this, Jaden whispered to himself. He had to calm down. He had survived many weird situations before, but this was something else. He had no escape, and ZYK's tiny body might not seem dangerous, but his alien biology was unpredictable. ZYK leapt onto the kitchen counter with surprising agility, sliding to the edge, and hissed softly. Jaden instinctively took a step back, knocking over a cup. The crash echoed, but ZYK didn't flinch. The alien was waiting for something. Jaden tried to distract himself. Maybe food would help? He opened the fridge, pulled out some leftovers, and held them out. ZYK sniffed the air and circled him. Every movement was quick, precise, almost predator-like, but not aggressive. Jaden realized he had no way to escape this or understand it. Time seemed to slow. Every sound became louder, the hum of the fridge, ZYK's squeaky claws, Jaden's breathing. Then he noticed a strange glow on ZYK's back, a small orb pulsating in rhythm with the alien's emotions. He hadn't seen it before. Was it part of the heat cycle, or a warning of some kind? Jaden backed up, hitting the wall. ZYK hovered closer, clicking softly. It sounded almost like laughter, or maybe a challenge. Jaden's mind raced. What did it want? How could he manage it? Suddenly, ZYK darted toward him, not to attack, but with urgency. Jaden stumbled back again, knocking over a chair. His apartment was turning into a maze of obstacles, each one amplifying the tension. He remembered reading about pheromones online. Humans are sensitive. Some aliens can manipulate emotions chemically. That explained why Jaden felt lightheaded and anxious. His logic wobbled, but he tried to focus. Maybe if he stayed calm, ZYK would calm down too. The alien twitched again. Its glowing orb pulsed faster. Jaden realized he was under pressure. Not just physical, but mental. He had to act, and quickly. All right, let's try something, Jaden said aloud, hoping the alien understood human speech. He reached for a blanket on the sofa and slowly draped it over ZYK, creating a small cocoon. The alien squeaked, struggling for a moment before sitting still. Jaden exhaled. Maybe he had some control. Then came the next challenge. The air in the apartment seemed different. ZYK's pheromones intensified, mixing with the ordinary smells of food and laundry. It was like walking through a thick fog of emotions. Jaden felt panic rising. He clutched the counter, trying to steady himself. Every instinct screamed at him to escape, but the lockdown made that impossible. Minutes passed, each one stretching longer than the last. Jaden watched ZYK carefully. The alien seemed to be playing a game, testing boundaries, measuring Jaden's reactions. He realized something crucial. This was a first contact moment in its own weird way. ZYK wasn't malicious. He was curious, trapped in instinct, and trying to communicate. Jaden's mind raced with strategies. Could he use food, light, or movement to guide ZYK? He tried speaking gently, holding out his hand. The alien sniffed it, made a soft trill, then backed away, twitching its glowing orb. Suddenly, there was a loud banging at the window. A neighbor's cat had knocked something over, but Jaden jumped at the sound. Every little noise now felt like a threat. ZYK's skin flashed brighter, and he moved closer again. Then Jaden noticed it. The orb on ZYK's back pulsed in perfect synchronization with his own heartbeat. It wasn't just a biological signal. It was emotional, almost telepathic. Jaden's mind raced. If he could connect with ZYK's rhythm, maybe he could calm him down. He closed his eyes and started breathing slowly, mimicking the orb's pulsing. ZYK's movement slowed slightly, his eyes flicking between Jaden and the glowing orb. It was working, somehow. But just as relief began to settle in, ZYK made a sudden, sharp squeal and jumped onto the sofa. The orb on his back flared brightly, illuminating the room. Jaden stumbled backward, bumping into a wall, and realized the heat cycle was intensifying. Panic returned, but this time Jaden had planned. He grabbed the small gravity mat ZYK loved to sleep on, waving it gently. ZYK's glowing orb flickered like a strobe, but after a tense moment, he leapt onto it. Jaden held his breath. The tiny alien settled. For now, the room was silent except for the soft hum of the orb. Jaden slumped against the wall, heart racing. He had survived the first wave, but he knew this was just the beginning. The lockdown was ongoing, and ZYK's heat cycle could last for hours. He looked at the tiny alien curled on the mat, antennae twitching, eyes half closed. Somehow, he had managed to reach a fragile balance. A human and an alien trapped together, relying on understanding more than strength. And then, just as he thought he could rest, the orb pulsed brighter once again, louder than before. Jaden's stomach dropped. Something was coming. Something he didn't understand. Something that would push both of them to their limits. The apartment had turned into a cage. A strange, glowing, unpredictable cage. And outside, the lockdown raged on, keeping them trapped together. Jaden took a deep breath, readying himself for the night ahead. Every instinct screamed that this was not over. Not even close. And somewhere deep in his mind, he realized survival would require courage, quick thinking, and perhaps a little human ingenuity against an alien that was far beyond anything he had ever faced. Jaden sat on the floor, heart pounding, staring at the tiny glowing orb on ZYK's back. Its pulses were faster now, brighter, like a strobe light synced to an invisible rhythm. He had survived the first wave, but he knew instinctively that the alien's heat cycle was far from over. The apartment felt smaller, tighter. Every object, chairs, tables, even the fridge, loomed like obstacles in a maze. The lockdown made escape impossible. He was trapped with ZYK, and the alien's energy seemed to be growing stronger by the minute. Okay, think, Jaden muttered, rubbing his temples. This isn't just biology, it's psychology, chemistry, maybe even physics. He remembered the articles he had skimmed online about alien species pheromone-based communication. If he could somehow manipulate the environment, he might gain an edge. ZYK leapt onto the sofa again, squealing softly, antennae flicking like radar dishes. The orb glowed brighter than ever. Jaden noticed the tiny creature's pupils dilating in response to the light from his lamp. A plan started forming in his mind. He grabbed a flashlight from the drawer and switched it on, holding it low. The bright beam bounced off the walls, reflecting in ZYK's eyes. The alien froze. Fascinating. ZYK's attention could be redirected with light. Encouraged, Jaden moved slowly around the apartment, flashing the light gently. ZYK followed, hopping from counter to sofa, eyes glued to the moving beam. Jaden's heart raced. He was controlling the situation, even slightly. Next, he tried sound. He remembered ZYK's trills and clicks. Mimicking them, he tapped his fingers on the table in short, rhythmic patterns. ZYK paused, cocking his head, as if analyzing the rhythm. Jaden repeated it, faster, then slower, matching the pulsing of the glowing orb. ZYK's antennae twitched, and the orb's light began to dim slightly. It was working. Somehow, Jaden was communicating. Not with words, not with force, but through rhythm, light, and careful observation. Minutes passed, the tension thick, but Jaden stayed focused. He could feel ZYK's heat cycle slowing slightly. The alien wasn't calming down fully, but he wasn't spiraling out of control either. For the first time, Jaden dared to think that maybe he could survive the night. Then came the challenge he hadn't anticipated, ZYK's curiosity. The tiny alien darted suddenly toward Jaden's laptop, pawing at the keyboard. Jaden jumped back, narrowly avoiding a toppling monitor. "No, don't touch that," he shouted. ZYK paused, sensing panic. Jaden realized something important. Fear or stress made the situation worse. He had to remain calm. Taking a deep breath, he crouched, lowering himself to ZYK's level. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The alien tilted his head, orb glowing faintly. Slowly, it inched closer, drawn to Jaden's calm energy. The human's patience, observation, and ability to improvise were starting to work in his favor. Classic HFY ingenuity at play. Jaden grabbed a small snack bar and held it out. ZYK sniffed it cautiously, then grabbed it with his tiny claws. He chewed quickly, tail flicking, eyes never leaving Jaden. Relief washed over him. He had gained trust. Hours passed. The room was dimly lit, with the orb pulsing gently, less aggressively. Jaden felt exhaustion creeping in, but he pushed it aside. The alien heat cycle was still ongoing, but the intensity had decreased. He had learned to manipulate ZYK's behavior through observation, patience, and creativity. Suddenly, the orb flared again. Jaden's stomach sank. This was no longer about survival, it was escalation. ZYK's body quivered, antennae flicking rapidly. The little alien let out a loud squeal, more urgent than before. Jaden realized the pheromones were reaching a critical peak. If he didn't act fast, chaos would follow. He scanned the apartment, looking for anything that could help. Then he spotted it, the gravity mat he had used earlier. He had an idea. He gently lifted the mat and waved it like a lure. ZYK's eyes followed immediately, all pulsing in rhythm with Jaden's movements. Slowly, carefully, he led the alien toward the mat. ZYK hopped on, then froze. The orb glowed steady, but faintly. Jaden had created a temporary anchor for the alien. He breathed a sigh of relief. But the night was not over. ZYK's cycles were unpredictable. The tiny alien shifted on the mat, squeaking softly. Jaden decided to sit nearby, mimicking breathing patterns, tapping gentle rhythms on the floor. The alien's movement slowed further. Jaden realized something remarkable. He was influencing ZYK without force, only through calmness, observation, and subtle interaction. Human ingenuity, thinking under pressure, was giving him an advantage. Hours blended. Outside, the lockdown continued. Inside, man and alien were locked in a silent negotiation, a delicate dance of biology and trust. Jaden marveled at the situation. This tiny alien could have overwhelmed him with instinct alone, but his mind, human problem-solving, had leveled the playing field. ZYK's orb dimmed almost to a glow now. He lay down, antennae twitching lightly. Jaden exhaled, exhausted but victorious. He had survived the worst of the heat cycle, not through strength, but observation, adaptation, and cleverness. Then, just when he thought he could rest, ZYK made a new sound, a soft trill, different from before, almost like a song. Jaden leaned closer, curious. The orb pulsed rhythmically with each note. He realized the alien was communicating, maybe even showing gratitude. A small smile spread across Jaden's face. He had learned more than survival tonight. He had made a connection with a being from another world. Despite the chaos, the alien's instincts, and the lockdown, he had found common ground. Minutes later, ZYK crawled onto Jaden's lap. The orb glowed softly, pulsing slowly, almost like a heartbeat. Jaden gently stroked the alien skin, feeling warmth, life, and intelligence. The danger was over, for now, but he knew the lessons of this night would stay with him forever. Patience, observation, and calmness could overcome even the most alien of challenges. Outside, the city slept under lockdown. Inside, human and alien rested together. Trust be known, instincts managed, and chaos tamed. Not through might, but through ingenuity. Jaden leaned back, exhausted but smiling. He looked at ZYK, glowing softly on his lap, and whispered, "We survived. Together." The tiny alien clicked softly in response, antennae twitching lightly. The orb dimmed to a gentle glow. For the first time since the heat cycle began, both felt safe, connected, and calm. The night was long, but humans had once again proven why they were clever, resourceful, and capable of overcoming challenges that seemed impossible. And somewhere deep in the glow of the tiny orb, Jaden understood that this was only the beginning. The world outside might remain unpredictable, the lockdown unending, but inside this apartment, he had faced the unknown and emerged alive. Smarter, stronger, human. The morning after the first heat cycle, Jaden thought he could finally relax. ZYK lay curled on his small gravity mat, antennae flicking softly, glowing orb dim and steady. Jaden smiled tiredly. He had survived the first night. Human ingenuity had saved him. But peace never lasted long. A loud ping from the apartment door startled him. Jaden froze. The lockdown shouldn't allow anyone inside, yet the sound repeated, a strange, metallic echo. ZYK's orb pulsed in response, brighter this time, his tiny body tensing. Jaden realized the orb wasn't just an indicator of ZYK's heat. It was a warning system. Something, or someone, was outside. The tiny alien scrambled onto the sofa, moving with urgent energy. Jaden grabbed a flashlight and tried to peer through the blinds. Nothing. Just the empty, dimly lit corridor outside. Yet the orb's pulsing grew faster. "Great," Jaden muttered. "Not only do I have to survive the heat cycle, but now we're being watched." ZYK clicked softly, then darted toward the kitchen counter, sniffing the air. Jaden followed, realizing the alien was tracking something invisible to human senses. He noticed a faint shimmer near the window, a reflection, or some kind of alien presence. His mind raced. Could it be another alien? Perhaps ZYK's species wasn't alone on Earth. The thought made him both terrified and excited. Human curiosity surged. He had to figure this out, or they'd be trapped, not just by lockdown, but by an unknown force. Jaden decided to improvise. He set up mirrors around the living room, hoping to catch any reflections or movements. ZYK watched curiously, hopping from table to chair, tail flicking. The tiny alien seemed to sense that Jaden was thinking strategically. Then, the orb pulsed violently. ZYK hissed and leapt, knocking the lamp to the floor. Sparks flew, and the lights flickered. The apartment had become a battlefield of shadows and glowing colors. Jaden realized they were in a standoff, human vs alien instincts, but now with an external unknown factor. Minutes passed in tense silence. Jaden observed every movement of ZYK, every twitch of the orb. Then he noticed something astonishing. The alien responded to his pulse and breathing, as before, but now also to his hand gestures. Human ingenuity was once again proving powerful. He carefully extended a hand, pointing at the mirror. ZYK hesitated, then hopped toward it. Curious, Jaden directed him slowly, teaching the alien that they could track intruders together. They were becoming a team. Suddenly, a loud crash from the hallway outside made both of them jump. Jaden's heart raced. He had no weapons, no escape, but he had something more important. Observation skills, adaptability, and the tiny alien who had now learned to trust him. ZYK's orb flared brightly, then dimmed slightly as if signaling reassurance. Jaden had an idea. He grabbed a small flashlight, switched it to a pulsing strobe mode, and shone it toward the corridor. ZYK leapt onto his shoulder, matching the light pulses with small jumps and clicks. Together, they created a rhythmic pattern of light and movement, an improvised defense. The hallway fell silent. The shimmer vanished. Jaden exhaled, realizing that their coordination had worked. They were no longer simply surviving. They were adapting, using intelligence, creativity, and teamwork, classic HFY traits. But relief was short-lived. The orb pulsed again, this time irregularly, faster, warning of another phase of ZYK's heat cycle. Jaden's stomach tightened. This was new. The alien's biology was unpredictable, and he had to think faster. He remembered the gravity mat trick from before. Quickly, he laid out soft blankets and cushions around the apartment, creating a safe heat zone for ZYK. The tiny alien hopped inside, all pulsing rhythmically with Jaden's movements. The human ingenuity tactic worked again. Containment through environmental control, not force. Hours passed. ZYK moved within the zone, occasionally squeaking, clicking, or jumping onto counters, but Jaden stayed calm, tapping rhythms, flashing lights, and occasionally offering snacks. Slowly, the heat cycle subsided. Just when he thought it was over, the alien made a sudden, startling leap toward the window. Jaden's heart skipped. Through the glass, a shadow moved. Another tiny alien, this one slightly bigger, glowing green. ZYK hissed and clicked furiously. Jaden realized they weren't alone. Earth had more visitors than he thought. The heat cycle might have been a signal, attracting others of ZYK's kind. The tension escalated. Jaden had to think fast. He grabbed a portable speaker and played soft, rhythmic music, hoping to synchronize both aliens' movement. ZYK responded immediately, glowing orb dimming, then pulsing in time with the beat. The green alien outside mimicked the rhythm. Jaden's mind raced. If he could maintain the rhythm, he might prevent conflict, or at least keep both aliens calm. He paced, waved lights, tapped surfaces, and guided ZYK through the music. Slowly, the green alien backed away, observing, then disappeared down the hallway. Jaden slumped against the wall, exhausted but amazed. He had survived not one, but two challenges, biological and external, and had done so using creativity, observation, and human ingenuity. ZYK hopped onto his lap, orb glowing softly, antennae twitching gently. He clicked softly, almost in gratitude. Jaden smiled, realizing that this tiny alien had taught him more about trust, communication, and teamwork than he had ever imagined. By dawn, both human and alien rested. The apartment was quiet. Outside, lockdown continued, but inside, an unusual alliance had formed. Jaden had faced biology, instincts, and the unknown, and emerged victorious. He looked at ZYK and whispered, "We survived the night. And tomorrow, who knows what comes next?" The tiny alien purred softly, antennae flicking, orb dim and steady. For now, the chaos was over, but the universe was wide, strange, and full of challenges. Jaden had proven that human ingenuity, calm thinking, and adaptability could handle even the most unpredictable alien situations. And somewhere deep in the city, unseen, the green alien watched, perhaps planning, observing, waiting. The story wasn't over. It had only begun.